what you said the first time that you saw the Apollo IE. If you are a fan or know of this company, they were the guys that originally did the Gumpert.
Gumpert Apollo, yeah. Ronald Gumpert.
And I never knew that until we started doing some research on this show. Because we got dumped this car. He said, hey, we're going to do this Apollo IE thing. And I didn't even know what it was. I didn't. And I never even heard of it. And then I see the picture of this thing, and that's exactly what I said. And when you see it in real life, I went to Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw it at Mar-a-Lago for the show there. And that's exactly what people said when they saw it come rolling in. Because, I mean, this thing is... If a 12-year-old kid won the lotto, this is the car that he would buy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is just absolute insanity.
It's amazing.
And I hate to say this because, I mean, women look at it and they look like it was hit by an episode of Pimp My Ride. Because it's got a lot of crazy over-the-top stuff on it.
A lot of angles.
There is some crazy...
A lot going on.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff. This is definitely a man's car. And I don't want to... I hate to stereotype, but quite honestly, when we were at Mar-a-Lago, the women, they walked right by it. And they just, they almost turned their back when they walked by it. But the men, they just wanted it. Oh, it's a really beautiful car.
It really is. And the IE is... and I'm probably going to mess this up, and... Please comment below how bad I did it.
You're Italian. You should be able to do this.
Intensa emozione, but intense emotion. And that's what this car was supposed to bring out of you, or out of, the experience was intense emotion.
And it does, but it goes both ways.
Fast,
because you hate it or you love it is what you're going to find with this car.
I don't know if I want to talk to anybody that hates this car.
Well, I'm telling you what, the thing that I did love about this car is watch this thing move. The chassis is so stiff on it. The front tire doesn't even move when the thing was rolling across the grass because it was rolling across an uneven surface. The front tire is not even moving. When he puts this thing in gear, it has this absolute sledgehammer metallic hit when it goes into gear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this car is absolute brute.
And that's that whole drivetrain that was developed with HWA Motors, which a little bit of history here. They've done a lot of cool things, but the CLK GTR that basically shut down that racing series, they built the motor for that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So these guys have big experience in this.
They know what they're doing.
And I tell you what, it's got a killer steering wheel layout. I mean, look at the interior. It's really great interior.
The interior, like the aesthetics of it look pleasing, but it's functional too. The buttons on the steering wheel, the way that the dashboard, the dials all change depending on what mode that you're in. It's neat.
It doesn't look like it's bone and joint friendly. I mean, the car looks like it's an absolute nightmare to get in and out of.
Right.
There were a couple of ladies that were impressed by the car, so I hate to say that all of them didn't like it. There's a couple of ladies, and this one lady had her big high heels on, and she wanted to get in the car. And she did everything she could, just trying to figure out a way that she wanted to get in the car. And she says, I just don't think I can do it. And she ended up not getting in the car. So it's a pretty serious car when people elect not to even climb into it, right? Because honestly, if you take a look in this car, I mean, you've dropped down into it. Yeah. It's got an amazing layout. It's got fantastic thumb and controls on the steering wheel to really use this as a race car.
And it's in the layout too. When you get in it, besides just the steering wheel, the seats are part of the floor. They're on the floor, and so when you sit in it, you're in more of an F1 like racing seat in a sense, or position when you're driving than a normal car. So you're actually like laying in the car when you're driving it.
So if you think about how stiff this thing probably is and the fact that your seat is on the ground, I'm thinking like the only suspension on this car is probably the discs in your back. So I think this is probably...
intense emotion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your back's going to be hurting.
Maybe
That'll
just
be
intense pain. Yeah, maybe that's going to have to go along with it. But you have to have your body as low as you can in the car in order for it to have the weight down as low as you can. Yeah. So it's good that they designed the car as a performance car, because I don't see anyone racing this in a series. But are they really? You think that somebody will race it? Because I would love to see this on a track. I mean, it's got all the numbers there.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I will drink to that.
You whiskey girl.
I know we touched on the motor of this thing briefly with the HWA built it, but you're looking at with V12 making 780 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, which is just insane.
It's got a 9,000 RPM red line.
Yeah,
which is
that's why it sounds so
really,
great.
really high, because we talked about the F50 in another episode because we were bummed because it was a real Formula One engine and it only spun to 8,500. And this isn't even a real Formula One engine. This is 6.3 liters, a big engine, and they got this 6.3 liters spinning to 9,000 on a V12.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Hopefully I'll get a chance to visit this amazing collection that's down here that he actually has one of these. I think it's the one that you saw.
Yeah, same guy. Yeah.
It was it's actually the first one. It was delivered in Miami, the first of the 10.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But the neat thing about that why it sounds so good, everybody's seen the exhaust on this thing. If you haven't, like, wow, it's just even that is like out of a spaceship.
Yeah,
you know how much that thing costs?
How much is that going to be?
I'll just set it up a little bit. It's a 3D printed titanium Inconel exhaust.
Sounds cheap.
And apparently you get 2 of them to meet with noise regulations depending where you're at. And it costs as much as a BMW M4.
So it's like 40 grand?
An M4? No.
I don't know.
They're like 60, 70 grand.
Are they really that much money? Wow.
Like, it's beautiful though. Hey.
Wow.
I
See,
mean,
I don't follow the BMW, so I don't know what they cost.
Yeah, they're expensive.
I didn't know that they went up that much because I think I would rather have the BMW than the exhaust. You've got to, at some point in time on these vehicles, you've got to justify some of these unneeded expenses, because that to me is an unneeded expense. As a matter of fact, though, to me, an unneeded expense is a battery in a P1. They should have just upped the power on the engine and got rid of that darn
rubber
battery.
Fuel cell in an F1.
Oh yeah. The F1 McLaren has that expensive fuel cell that needs changed all the time. Yeah, that wasn't very well thought out. But this car has a lot of cool stuff. It's got the Hewland sequential box.
Yeah.
So, once again, unbreakable box. The downforce has been all over the place on what I've been reading on this. I've heard anywhere from as low as 2,300, which is a tremendous amount of downforce,
huge numbers,
up to 3,000 pounds of downforce, which even 2,300 is a giant number. But I honestly believe, looking at this thing, that closer to 3,000 is probably a realistic number.
I mean, it makes sense. People at Apollo don't mess around. There was rumors back in the day about the Gumpert Apollo that the amount of downforce that it could drive upside down in a tunnel. So, I mean, I can't imagine that this thing is...
And that Gumpert, if you saw the Gumpert when it came out, it was the Senna of the era. But when I saw the Senna...
That's
a
good
true,
point, yeah.
But when I saw the Senna,
it looks hideous.
Thought it was ugly. But when I saw the Gumpert, it was ugly, but to me it was ugly in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it.
Yeah,
I
really
wasn't the
thought
best
that was
looking car.
No, it wasn't the best looking, but like I said, it was ugly in a good way that I would say, wow, that's really stunning. There's a lot of cool stuff in this that you can do. You can control the brake balance with the car, because I trail brake a lot when I'm racing. So I like to have, control of the brake balance. That's in this.
Good news for you too on the brakes. You get 2 sets of brakes with this.
See, they plan on you tracking
you get
this
ceramic
car.
or steel.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I'd put the steel on when I go racing it for sure. Yeah, I'm not a big ceramic guy. I don't like the fact that I got to get them super hot before they work. Because, like, my steel brakes on my race car, the first time you hit them, they're the same way. They don't really stop. But the next corner, they're there. But my ceramics, it's like 2 or 3 corners down before they really start working right. Yeah, because you got to get some heat in the ceramics. You got to hold them in there because they lose the heat so fast.
And they squeak all the time, too.
Yeah, it's not like when you come rolling up with your Ferrari and you hear that squeaking that Ferrari brakes on. That's like a Harley that leaks oil. It's not the Harley oil leak. That's just marking a spot where a Harley parked. When you hear that squeal, that's just a Ferrari announcing that it's coming.
It's always the best thing too, because you pull up, you're like, squeak, 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 squeak. Hey, ladies, what's going on?
Hey, ladies. When you hear that squeak,
I'm not cutting corners, I swear. I got these brakes done.
You almost need a saying that says, when you hear that squeak, the pennies drop.
Yeah,
something
pennies,
like that.
The pennies drop, maybe?
Pennies
could be too.
But this car is serious. The downforce on it is set up so it's 55% downforce. So it's going to get real stable as it goes faster and faster. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff. Do you hear an alarm going off? Now that's a body kit for the new C8s. Now, I'm not normally a fan of those body kits, but I'm not a humongous C8 guy. I don't like the back end of the car very much, and I think the front end leaves a little bit of work to be desired. But I think this body kit, they did a pretty good job on this. Most of the time, those body kits are really over the top.
Yeah.
And this one, it might not be as over the top as most of the body kits. It's getting there, but it's not still to me as over the top as this Apollo. This Apollo is one of those things that you're going to look at right now and you're going to go, wow, it's the wildest, craziest thing. And I think what it's going to do is the same as the FXXK Evos do, where it's got all those crazy wild shapes on it. After a while, you just kind of get sick of looking at it. Because I'm already not happy looking at the Evo Ferraris. I don't like those swoopy, crazy spoilers, and I don't know if that's going to happen
Room's
with
dividing
this
as
Apollo.
you keep talking.
I know, but I'm just saying that this car might be one of those cars that I'm going to look at 10 years from now and go, wow, that's gaudy. And I don't know if I'm going to use that word, but I don't know how well this is going to age, because it looks to me like it's going the direction of what the Evo did to me. When I first saw the FXXK Ferraris, I said, wow, that's really awesome. That's really cool. And then after about 2 years, I said, oh, God, that's just, ugh. You know, but you look at it, no, because some cars will look great all the time. And a great example of that is a 250 GTO. When the 250 GTO
classic.
came out, Ford GT came out, still cool 50 years later. And I don't see these cars being cool 50 years later, but I see them, well, the Super Trofeo Evo 2s, I think that car will be cool 50 years from now. Because it doesn't have the ostentatious spoiler designs. They're just so, there's just a lot. It's just a lot to take.
It is, but it's in the name, intense emotion. So, I mean, it's, to me, when I first saw this car, it looks savage. It looks like it wants to kill you. Like, it looks like it's trying to kill the air and anything else that's in front of it. And if you're lucky enough to be behind the wheel, then you're wielding this sword.
I think this car is on my playlist of cars to avoid getting in for the rest of my life, because I have a feeling that someone would try to impress me and kill me in this car.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the kind of car, like the ACR Vipers, like the 4th gen Vipers. Just a brutal, violent car. And if the guy behind the wheel didn't know what he was doing, everybody's into the trees.
Yeah, I don't know if if I ever got the lucky enough chance to drive this car, I don't know if I'd even do it.
Yeah.
I think I'd be shaking the entire time.
I got a ride with a guy in an F1 McLaren years and years ago. And that car will accelerate like ain't nothing you've ever seen, from like 150 miles an hour when they slam it down. And that thing just takes off. And you're just screaming and screaming and going, wow, I'm going to end up a pile of charcoal. You know, I mean, you just, because I don't know this guy. I barely knew the guy when he said, hey, you want to go for a ride? And I think that in this Apollo, because the potential for incredible acceleration is there. And also it looks like the potential for things to go horribly wrong quickly in this car, because there's nothing, it doesn't look like there's anything forgiving on this car. And it gets even worse. They're offering, if you want one, a 16-to-1 compression, 1,000 horsepower engine for this car.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, there's options.
So I mean, the potential for this thing is even beyond that, and it's not super heavy. It's a 2,700-pound car. Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be really, really fast, and it's going to be an incredible wreck if you ever pile this thing up.
Oh, I don't want to see that carbon mess, but I think this is going towards the track. I think
we're going to find out. All right, I got to find out where you're at on this thing. I hear a squealing noise. Now, I'm all over the place on this car, because I don't know how to even rate this thing. So I'm going to hear your number, and then I'm going to let that influence me on where I'm going to do, because I don't want Tony mad at me, because we carpooled here together and he drove today. Ooh. So that means that if I'm way out in left field, I'm walking home. So I might skew my number, or I'll have to call the Uber. So where are you at?
So it's going to be a little extreme. This thing's extreme, and my styling number is going to be extreme. I don't see any mark that they didn't hit on this car other than one. One gripe that I have with it is the windows don't open.
They don't?
The windows don't open, and the roof doesn't come off. But I don't care about the roof not coming off.
I
just want some kind of opening. There's like vents that are open that allow air in, but the windows don't actually open. I figured they could have figured that out with.
Yeah, well, the door's kind of a funky shape, so probably not.
Yeah, who knows? So that's my only gripe about this car. Other than that, the outside styling, forget it, amazing. The interior styling, somehow they executed that flawlessly, even with all the crazy interiors that they're doing on those 10 cars. I mean, everything from the digital dash down to the interior, it's just, to me, it's over the top. I gave it a 95. You're not going to convince me otherwise. Prove me wrong.
He's
Prove
so
me wrong.
lucky that I didn't drive today because he'd
Prove
be walking
me wrong.
home for that.
Prove me.
No,
Show me something that's better looking, more of a poster child, styling wise than this car.
I'm going to
change my mind.
I'm going to appease Tony for just a moment. I'm going to give you a rating that will make Tony super happy, and then I'm going to really make him angry. On the craziness factor, I give this car a 100. Because I don't think you can make a crazier looking car than this. And we talked about this before. If a 12-year-old won the lotto, this is the car that he would buy. It's crazy. But in a realistic styling application, like in something that I would almost laugh at somebody if they pulled up in Bal Harbor to the beautiful restaurants in that thing, and your wife gets out in a really flowing dress. It's a 40, and I think that's a real number for that car because it's too extreme. And I know I've had a little bit to drink today, but it's.
Wait, did you just give this thing a?
Because that's what it deserves. Because in craziness, he's 95. He's crazy.
No, it's a crazy car.
Well, it is a crazy car, but the problem is that we're talking about styling.
I'm getting emotional about this intense emotion.
And in realistic street car terms, the styling is like a 40. It's really off in left field. It's unusable except in very limited situations. You can't take this thing out to real fine dining with it. Whereas I can hop in any Ferrari and roll up and look elegant, or I can look sporty. This one, you're only going to be able to look sporty, so you can't use it in a regular application.
Patrick, if you wanted to take me out to a fine dining restaurant, you could totally pick me up in this car, and I would not complain.
I'm already married, but thanks, Tony. In performance, it's 770 horsepower, right? Right in that range?
780.
Okay, something in that range, horsepower. So it's a decent amount of power with it. And it makes a lot of downforce. I don't know if they have the aero curve figured out on the thing. They've said that they did, you know what I mean? But still, it's one thing saying something, and it's another thing doing it. I'm going to assume that this car still needs sorted out because it looks like there's a lot going on there. And hey, maybe some of that stuff doesn't stall, but it looks like with all that stuff on there, some of that stuff's going to stall on the aero package. So I gave it something in the range of the Senna. I gave it a 73.
One thing also to go off this that a lot of our viewers might not know, but this chassis is actually based on also the Di Tommaso P72. That newer, it looks like a concept.
Pantera thing?
It's the Pantera, it's the P72, based on the same chassis. In the original, Di Tommaso had the same V12 engine, but I guess when that goes into production, they're only making 72 units of that compared to the 10 with this one. Same guy just styled both cars, so very dramatic differences.
And it's the same chassis?
Same chassis, different body. And the motor on the production unit of the P72 is going to be a V8, they're saying. Possibly a twin-turbo V8, but from what I'm hearing, it's just going to be a V8 compared to the V12 that's in this.
All right, what are you giving this thing on performance then?
Performance, I mean, it's a V12 making 780 horsepower, 2,700 pounds.
Still don't tell me nothing because it better not be too high or I'm just going to hit cut.
82?
Oh, come on.
How is that too high?
All right, Tony's had a lot to drink tonight. We're going to have to call the show early. No, I think that it's a fantastic car. I honestly, I can't really toast this car. It's got good high numbers, but it's $2.6 million. Is that how much this thing is?
Yeah, I saw 2.7 to 2.8, so who knows? And
you
can go from there.
It should be higher numbers than that for me for that kind of money.
One of the guys has like a logo on the side of his door that's red, and at nighttime it lights up. That's like in the paint. And he said that they referred to other BMWs, like it cost as much as a BMW to get that in there. So I'm sure the options can make your 2.7 go up from there.
Cool car, not my cup of tea. I can't toast it.
Oh, man. Well, Apollo, you're getting a toast from me. I followed you guys since the beginning, back in '04 when they started it.
That's up to you then, Tony. You launch it.
You get a toast for this one, Apollo. Well done, and I hope to see more coming out of you.
Well, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And you know what they say, if you have an opinion that's different than ours, keep it to yourself.